everyone, and welcome to Marketing Showcase on Demand, and thank you for checking in to Simon Kinsey's recording for his presentation titled Digital Marketing and CRM, Please Mind the Gap. This was of course recorded from December's online marketing event where we went live to over 200 marketers on the day. This session is about 30 minutes long. It's the perfect time I find for a coffee, so sit back, relax and enjoy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've had an informative day. Let me just get my presentation going. It's certainly good to be here today to talk about another idea that's very dear to my heart about how we mix and match systems to help us. First of all, a bit of an introduction. My background, if you like, and where we come from with this is I founded Sparkstone technology about been more than 20 years ago, and I've been around for 30 years. Come from a chartered accountancy background, so a bit of experience around finances, a bit of experience around business, sales, marketing, and software development. And we really write software that covers four main pillars of activity, if you like, that build a system together. We've got CRM, we've got our e-commerce platform, we've got a retail EPOS and sales order processing solution, and we've got our back office stock control and if you like, logistics operations management software, all off a single database. We serve about 150 odd clients, somewhere over 600 sites, 3,000 plus users every day use our software. And we like to think we bring a bit of a human touch to dealing with quite tricksy business problems for small and medium-sized businesses. Like I say, we've been around longer than I like to think about, so let's just get on with the talk today. The first thing I need to mention, Ash alluded to it, we in the thing is prices. Like everybody to go away feeling as though they got satisfied today. We've got a draw. We did this last month and the month before, and we're doing one for December as well. Up to £5,000 worth of implementation services against a Sparkstone CRM project. It's available for lucky winner, but don't want anybody to go away empty-handed. So we've also got a free 1 hour review for everybody who registers to today. We're happy to talk to anybody in depth for an hour. For anybody who registers today, so everyone's a winner today. Now, a new departure, as Ash just mentioned, is this idea of a marketing showcase workshop. So first off, why on the green slide we see mostly I talk really fast through about 40 odd slides. It is a blast, there's loads of information, and then I really want to get people involved in talking to them, as you saw with the one-to-one chats, to find out what people are about, what they want to do. But that sometimes is a bit of a big step. So I look at this idea of the workshops as a bit of a comfort step, safety in numbers, all that sort of thing. Let's get together, let's do some roundtable discussions, but based on pre-prepared questions and answers, where we can then have live conversation in a bit more detail about it. And I look at it as a great step between the presentation on one hand and maybe that big step into doing a one-to-one discussion on the other. So if you feel this is good for you, next Tuesday, 15th of December, 10 AM, we'll be able to go through a bit of a live audience participation. Ash will give you some more details at the end. But first of all, let me just talk about why I like the metaphor of mind the gap. I first came across, used the mind the gap metaphor, must be 20 years ago, probably in the recession before last, when we were selling quite big projects, and the idea of the mind the gap campaign was to help people find ways of filling the gaps between the projects with useful income, and I think of course that's still very relevant today. Today though, really what I want to come down to is we've got this idea that you've got loads and loads of systems available to help you do your business, to help you do marketing operations, to help you do your sales force automation processes, to help you link into operations. But is that enough? Are you losing customers between what would be a great idea for a marketing campaign? Does it then fall between the cracks somehow? So I think go back a step and we'll just start with this idea of how we can avoid some of those pitfalls. Let's look at the basic premise for this is that the world has changed. We don't really need to say that. And I've got no doubt that everybody is also already changing to some extent. But without sounding like Joey from Friends, how are you doing? How are you getting on with that? And I don't mean, are you taking open water swims in very, very cold water to try and make yourself feel better about the things? It's what are you doing at the moment? I sort of try to boil it down a little bit and say, what's the main differences that we need to react to? And I think the first one is, if you can't meet your customers face to face, where, in inverted commas, are you going to meet them? Because you're missing a great big piece of information, really, in not having that face-to-face contact, that chemical reaction maybe that occurs that people talk about. If you can't meet them face-to-face, where are you going to meet them, and how are you going to make the most of those meetings so you still get the same effect? This is crucial. We know that we can use Zoom, but do we have the skills to create relationships remotely? How many people were really great at telemarketing but preferred a face-to-face meeting when it came to cementing relationships, to answering questions, to getting that unspoken communication going? So how can you replicate that in a virtual way? One of the ways I would posit is that you have to store a lot more data about your prospects, about your customers, about your products, and everybody needs it all of the time so that you can effectively communicate with customers, i.e. we all know that the virtual environment is going to be more important. What are we doing about it to give our customers 360-degree access? Good news bit though, having said lots of those sorts of points, is every business can do it, whether you're big or small. There's appropriate technology available to help you do it. So just going into that a little bit more, since January, no great surprises here, online transactions have increased by over 25%. In fact, some of our clients have got 400%, 500%, 600% increases of online transactions, and it's going to stay that way. They've made the change to the digital world, and it's going to stick, and they need to put in place infrastructure to deal with that, whether it's customer service systems that respond better to all forms of communication, or whether it's better pick, pack, dispatch processes on the stock management side. That's what we've helped people do. So online transactions have increased, but the time per session that users are spending has hardly increased at all. So people are browsing, whether it's from B2B or B2C points of view, much more quickly. They want the answers there. They want to present it better, which means more information has to be presented in a very accessible way that people can find. That's not just about having a shopping cart, clearly. To be fair, the UK was already leading the way in e-commerce. In 2019, almost 30% of all retail took place online. That includes supermarkets, food and groceries and so on. And within the last year, probably close to 90 by 87% of households have made online purchases, even more so in the run-up to Christmas as usual, but on the back of increased transactional volumes throughout the year anyway. So it's a bit like shops really. What's the main reason for not selling something when you've got a shop is A, not having the products in stock. Well, you've got an immediate answer to that with back-to-back ordering and those sorts of things, and supply and drop ship ideas, and indeed using portals, third-party portals. But the second reason is, what if nobody goes to your shop? Now it's easy, run an advert, drive people to your physical shop. But you need to do much more than that to get people to come to your virtual marketplace, whether it's through social media campaigns or direct email campaigns or online advertising. You've got to do a lot more to maximize your online reach, and you need to measure whether the actions that you choose are working for you. If you don't have a coherent plan around getting people to the site, measuring their time on the site, measuring where they click, getting information to be responsive to the sites, to be more responsive to their information requests, then you're likely to find that some of the marketing effort, to a greater or lesser extent, is going to fall through the gaps, and it's wasted money. Now, there's an argument that says marketing is always a little bit that way, but when it's so expensive and it's so easy to improve by 1%, perhaps we owe it to ourselves to look a little bit more at how we can use technology to help us. I mean, at the end of the day, online is such a small word, but it uses so much, and it stands for so much for people's interactions with your business now. You have to get good at it on the digital side. And I think the thing personally to remember is that this is still about businesses doing the same sorts of things they were doing before there were computers. At the end of the day, we have to buy some stock or provide some services. That's are required by customers. We need to communicate those to those availabilities, if you like, to prospects. We need to go through the processes of making an offer, refining needs, or the idea of qualifying customers to get to the point of taking an order, and then you need to fulfill. Well, that still occurs in all the places it always has done, whether it's around the boardroom making decisions through telemarketing teams, or people shopping at home or in store or in pop-ups, or whether it's people placing orders through portals. You do need to be everywhere, and wherever people are, they need to be getting the same great customer experience. For those of you who've seen me talk before, you'll see I'm linking a few ideas together really here that come to explain this idea of how we can mind the gap with CRM. Customer experience needs to be fantastic. It needs to be phenomenal. It needs to be amazing wherever the customers choose to interact with you, whether it's B2B or B2C. It's the same idea. If I'm buying office furniture, I want a great experience. I want it to be right. I want it to be delivered in a good condition. If I'm buying a new Xbox X, I'd really like to know that when they say they've got it in stock, they've got it in stock. Stock availability information is just as important as actually processing a shopping transaction in the quickest, most convenient way. And yesterday I saw a payment gateway that took me 7 clicks to get through. I just couldn't believe it. So there's lots of things to gain from great customer experience, but it goes more than that. It's about all of your staff knowing everything there is that's relevant to know about your customers and their transactions, their requirements. So great customer experience needs to be everywhere. The upsides, if you do great customer experience, you increase revenue, you create repeat business by those customers being delighted, and they will become your best advocates. They will drive referrals to your business. And conversely, if you fall down on customer service too many times, you don't have to be perfect, but if you fall down and it becomes endemic, then there's a very good chance that your customers won't buy from you. There's a very good chance they won't ever come back. And there's a very good chance that they're going to tell all their mates and their business acquaintances about how bad their experience was. So just to emphasize this, I think the Gartner Group before 2020, before COVID, said 81% of companies expect to be competing on the basis of customer experience, not price, not functionality, not nice packaging, customer experience. And the old adage that coming from Forbes this time, it costs 5 times as much to acquire a new customer as it does to keep a current one. So having got these customers, having done the transactions, what we really want to do is to make sure that we use this data, and it comes back to this, it's about data-driven marketing. We use this data for gain, that we get the right message to the right people in the right format at the right time, and align all of those messages to drive custom to us and to make sure that we follow up afterwards to give brilliant customer experience. I think for what it's worth, to achieve that then needs to link into other systems, whether it's sales ledger and accounts for business-to-business customers, whether it's to stock control, purchasing, dispatch for where's my order type questions, or whether it's to stock control and warehouse to deal with returns, RMAs, all those sorts of things. You need to integrate with other systems. One system can't do everything, but you do want to have a place where you can see it all together. So for what it's, to explain this a bit more, only 10% of marketeers reckon they've integrated their CRM systems into core enterprise systems. Well, that gives you 9 chances in 10 to be better than your competitors. And of those 10% that have, 85% reckon that they've derived a measurable return on income by doing that. And that's a really big thing to say, because measuring return on income is hard to do with marketing activities. We all know this. So if you've got the data, make sure you use it and make sure you're able to analyze the presence of where your customers are coming from, what they've been buying and so on. If you integrate with enterprise data, then you will be able to eliminate some of those gaps, some of those cracks that appear between the different systems. And like I said, CRM largely provides the glue that's between the systems that enables you to do that. So whether you're talking to people in store, online, on the phones, whatever, give your staff everything they need to provide good customer service to your customers. I think one of the things that's often missed around when you talk about CRM and integrating with other systems, though, is the fact that you need to see all of the communications in one place. The last thing you want is a piece of communication being siloed off in a separate area, like an email account, for example, that's not integrated into the system. And so what we've got here is a screenshot from one of our pieces of software, from our CRM system, actually, where you can see on one hand, you've got all of the external comms integrating with SMS, Twitter, email, Facebook, web chats, all appearing in one place, and you also see all of the sales transactions if it was integrated with the sales system, or accounts transactions if you wanted to see how much money was owed by somebody at the same time, so you can give really good customer experience. But it's not just outside the business, you also need internal systems of communication that enable live and appropriately timed responses to inbound inquiries. So the first thing I'd say is get all of the comms going through your CRM so you can see it all and make sure it's distributed to everybody. But that requires a bit of a top-down approach, really. You know, we've talked about these systems, and I've already outlined that, and we can see that CRM, integrating with other systems, integrating with social media campaigns, integrating with all of the tools that are out there that can help you do it, will give you this whole picture. But it's going to affect finance. You need to get the, and finance is frequently a closed area. People don't like people getting accounting numbers, so you need to integrate with the right parts of accounts to get the sales ledger information out in the right way, so that you're not giving the wrong information. It's really annoying when you have to go to accounts and say, can I have a statement for this customer, please? We need to integrate with marketing. We talked about all the tools, whether it's Hootsuite or whether it's MailChimp, to actually do the delivery. That's great. To do the analysis, it's great, but it doesn't do the rest of what you need, which is to give this 360-degree picture. Sales, we know about Salesforce automation. We know that salespeople want to maintain great systems to enable the business to process sales efficiently. That's what they want to do. There may be a little bit of sarcasm in there, but you get my point. It's encouraging if everybody becomes on board. Operations, they want to know what they've got to work on next, what they've got coming up to do, what products need to be picked. And so if there's seamless transactions moving across from sales into picking or into project management, then that is so much better when it's visible in one place. And customer service, they need the whole picture. They don't need part of the picture. They don't want to be chasing around to get information. My tips: get a CRM champion at board level, preferably one who has a bit of a budget, preferably one who has the ear of the king, if not the queen themselves, and preferably more than one champion at board level, to make sure that it doesn't get labeled as yet another CRM system that sales didn't really want, that got left in the corner gathering dust. If you give this data to the whole team, they will do their jobs exceptionally well. They will go home far less stressed, and your customers will get much, much better service. There is a thing here, a theme I hope you're getting, that the more you can eliminate the seams, the cracks between these different silos of business information, the better the customer experience will be. CRM should be that glue that enables you to achieve the best customer service offering you can do. I think embracing customer experience is trying to eliminate these gaps, trying to eliminate all of these lines coming in to, by the way, that's a very serene view of a swimmer below. The train lines looking all very confused in the tram lines. Integrate all of the comms into one smooth system so you can see all of the tracks, no matter how somebody gets in touch with you, in one place. Mark it by whatever method means suits them, and to find that out, measure everything, put targets on everything, and make sure your systems can give you that information, and then iterate and amend as you go. For those of you who come from a development background, that's agile but applied to marketing and business, and it's the only thing that makes sense to me, to stay agile, to make sure you compete with the big boys, because they get slower as they get bigger. You can do so much more just by measuring and iterating and amending and keeping going. Quick commercial message from us: we do offer CRM, e-commerce, retail solutions, and consultancy around business processes. We like to help people with tricky problems. A unified back office, unified messaging, so you can see everything in one place, is a big start. We're UK based, it's all in the UK. Our systems are simple to learn, easy to use, and extremely powerful. You can customize our software a lot to suit your particular needs. Please don't forget the competition, up to 5,000 quid towards a customer relationship management project of your choice with Sparkstone Technologies software, and up to a free 1-hour consultancy if you register today. In a minute, Ash will give you the registration form. Don't forget the workshops. I'm really excited about this idea. It should be a great way of getting me to slow down and to do a bit more detail on some of the things that we talk about. And I would note, I'd like to thank you and hand you back to Ash.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
I like that. A way to slow down. Brilliant. Simon, thank you very much for that. I didn't actually realise, but I had it worked. I had the poll up the whole time.
All right, cool.
The poll's been working away in the background, and we've got a few people that have signed up for that already. So yeah, just to reiterate, if it's sitting behind your Zoom thing, just fiddle around with where your windows are showing, and you'll have a for any of the visitors, you'll have a chance to sign up for that poll there. Simon, are you still there? Have I lost you?
I am still here. Don't worry.
I need you. Can you turn your video on for me?
I can turn my video on.
Sorry.
Look at that, Zoom expert.
You're back. Let's whet people's appetite for this workshop, because yes, we're going to dive in with more question and answers with regards to CRM. Part of it's going to be, I'm going to get in touch with you guys who have signed up for it in advance and just learn a little bit more about what you're doing and what you need help with, and we can tailor this session around you. But in terms of question and answers, I've been talking to the chat throughout this session. A few people have been, they're mid-implementation, they've recently implemented a CRM system. And one of the comments that came from one of our attendees was about the data that's going into that CRM project and how vital that is to kick off a successful implementation, because she's found that she's brought in a load of old data, and all of a sudden the job's got so much bigger. Yeah. What's your advice on that, and how would you start to go about a client that is in that position where they've got loads?
I think that's a superb question. I really do. Everything garbage in, garbage out. Probably one of the first adages that any of us learn about computer and technology systems and using computers to do jobs that we need to deal with. I would say that planning for any data transfer is imperative, and I think you've got to get the relevant data in first and foremost. And just as a tip, there's two parts here to this. Standing data is relatively easy. Let my word, relatively easy to handle. So names and addresses, static data like that, you could apply maybe our GDPR tool to start purging that data out, or you could do an export and say, what was the last touch date on a piece of data, and just say, look, we're not talking to people from 5 years ago or more, so we can purge that down. Deduping, there are various tools out there you can help with deduping. Yeah, cleaning it in terms of, it is a bit of graft. It is, there are tools out there to help you standardize your data, your phone numbers, say, to stop +44s or to put +44s in, those sort of things. And of course, if you're good at spreadsheets, you can do that yourself. So static data, get it as good as you can so it looks the same, so you can start the disciplines when people use the system in the right way. You can tell them what the rules are for putting an address in, or using a postcode lookup tool to improve things. And of course, you can run it by some of the postcode tools. You can put whole files of data across the postcode lookup tools to verify the data. But there's a big but here. Transactional data is another story entirely. So what's transactional data? So let's take a relatively easy one. I'd like all of my, let's do CRM one. I would like all of my tasks in my new CRM system. That's tricky to do because you've got to map the fields, and if you force the new system to take on the old system structure, then you're losing the benefit in the new system. So sometimes there's various other tools, you could import them as a block, or you could convert them to a PDF and bring them in, but you just got to be careful. And just so you know, the money follows those two splits. The money to help with doing static data is relatively reasonable. It's not awful to do, and you can do a lot of it yourself. The money to do a transactional import can be horrendous. It can take days, if not weeks, to get an approach, and you can then be chasing around why things haven't come in, and there's a whole load of hoo-ha over whose fault it was. So you've got to be sensible about what's useful ongoing.
I think one of the really interesting things that you touched upon there that I've experienced in my time switching only a couple of systems. Look, I'm not that aged, so I've only gone through a couple of software updates, but it's the difference between when you're changing your business changing to the new piece of software, or you feeling like the software should bend to your needs.
Again, a huge point. I've got various clients, some of whom we've had for 20 years and more, who give a very quick answer to that, which is none of us of our size is big enough to change the software to the level that you're referring to. So you need to change your business, as long as it's not in a critical area, don't get me wrong, to match the new software. That's the cost-effective way. You should be choosing software that helps you do the job, that gives you the functionality. I'm not talking about customizing fields or adding some extra fields in. I'm talking about the fundamental thing here. It's like you can't make a CRM system do accounts. If you try and make it do accounts, you're just going to be unhappy because it's not meant to do that. And so, there is a point at which it just is not worthwhile trying to add things into a piece of software. Get something that suits what you want. A good example of that, quoting software. Why would you make a CRM piece of software prepare a quote? You need stock control, you need stock information, you need commercial terms, you need layout stuff, you possibly need integration with digital signature stuff as well. So you want to work out how much you're prepared to change the software and how much you can go and find a bit to add in as an integration piece.
Thanks for watching the recording of this live keynote webinar. Did you know we've set up a YouTube channel where we've uploaded all of the other recordings for you to watch? Please just search for Marketing Showcase in YouTube and make sure you subscribe. See you soon, guys.